All right, so last week I spoke about the levels of regret that I was having towards myself and the position that I'd put myself in buying this course with really not the funds to afford the course, and putting myself in a position with my back against the wall to succeed. And I think those regrets still apply and they were still definitely relevant to me this week. However, instead of trying to fight against them and push back against the levels of stress I was dealing with, I just decided to design my life around coping with the stress better. And instead of being upset and frantically fighting and trying to force meetings and force connections and force, collecting leads and things like that, I just tried to find peace in the process, and it's really helped me. So, little things like my morning routine, just being much more dialed in and taking an extra 30 minutes in the morning to enjoy a bit of sunlight, and instead of getting up and frantically rushing around trying to be like, oh, if I don't start working right this second, it's all going to be over. I've started thinking less in black and white and tried to create an environment around me that facilitates, good work without me just losing sight of the vision, right? So I think the regret and the stress that was forming underneath me because of the financial position I've put myself in made me lose sight of the long-term goal. And I was so focused on the short term, which is I just need to get one client right now and it needs to happen right now. But that's not why I started this. I didn't start this to get one client. I started this because I feel like I have things to share and I want to ultimately help people. And I needed to go through this experience to learn things myself and then ultimately share that with the world. And I've done it in other aspects of my life, and I've shared those in different forms. I write a blog on my time in therapy. This YouTube channel is about my time growing a business. I post TikToks about my experience dealing with acne, which has come back due to the extreme stress I've been under in the last couple of weeks, which hasn't helped. But I think for me, my purpose in life is to share and to find meaning in the suffering, which is life. Life is ultimately suffering, and finding peace in the process and little things that I do while I'm cold calling or cold emailing, listening to nice music, just little things like, having like a little apple snack. This sounds so ridiculous, but when I cold call, like I just cut up a little bit of apple into small pieces, and in between call, I'll just like munch on some apples, just little things to take myself out of the immediate pain. And it's not that I don't want to be the type of person that can deal with pain and wants to do activities that invoke pain because I know they're the right activities. But there's a level of unnecessary suffering that just doesn't need to occur. And there's little things that I've been using, just little hacks, and before bed, like lighting a candle, creating a nice ambience in my room so I can sleep better, and just, taking 10 to 20 deep breaths before I go to sleep just to let everything go after I've journaled and read, and just let the day, sort of flush off me, and accept that every single day the sun will rise and it will be a new day. And as long as I have life in my lungs, I can get up and do the very best in my ability. And at the end of the day, if that's not enough, well, at least I tried. I think I've come back to the point that the end result does not really matter anymore. I mean, to be honest, the thing that taught me this the most was my training. So I still train competitively and compete in weightlifting, and it's never about the competition. It's never about the end result, because you're never as happy as you think you are after you achieve your desired result. It's always about the process, falling in love with the process. And I fell in love with the process of weightlifting, so why can't I fall in love with the process of this? And I think that has really helped me this week. There's been a lot less emotional nights, fortunately for me. I've made a little bit more progress in terms of I still haven't booked any meetings, but I've made a bit more progress in sort of figuring out how I'm going to book those meetings in my particular niche, which is good. And I think I'm making progress, and I am stressed about the money, but if I take a wider view, I do have enough money to last me a lot longer than I think I do. And it's okay, because I don't have any desire to live a particularly expensive lifestyle. Even if I do start making lots of money, I'm not a materialistic person. It's more, I want to do this because I have a deep desire to improve myself and then share that process with everyone who will listen. Really, that's all I really care about. And I think once you realize that, it becomes much easier to do anything difficult. And I think in the beginning I was trying to force the business into being a part of me, rather than just letting myself slip into the process and the routine of being an agency owner. I think as well, rather than trying to force my character and my character traits that I exist right now into this mold that wasn't really fitting in the last couple of weeks, I've just reevaluated who I am as an individual and trying to restructure my character to slide smoothly into the process and reintegrate it all into who I am as a person. And it's not, the business is not the project, I am the project. If I am not succeeding personally, emotionally, spiritually, whatever, then the business will not succeed, because I don't have a team, it's just me at this point. And I think a lot of people lose sight of the most important thing in any endeavor, and that is the self, the individual. I know when I was training at my best, I was emotionally stable, spiritually stable, had good connections with family and friends. And then the times where I was the most injured and the most and the least productive in my training was when I was letting external stresses get into my life. It had nothing to do with my training volume. It was exclusively to do with lack of sleep, stress from external factors, whatever it was that was affecting my body in a holistic way. I've talked too much maybe about me and not enough about the course, but I think it all, and another thing that comes back to is having a community does actually help. I never really thought of myself as a community person, and being able to go to like Charlie or Bo or whoever in the weekly calls and the daily calls and have a bit of guidance, that does help. And it's important to, it's not a sign of weakness to ask for help. I think that's something that I struggle with, even with just my mum, because I'm halfway around the world now, and I've never lived out of home before. This is the first time I've ever lived alone. I'm 24 and I'd lived at home the whole time until now, which is, I think living out of home is overrated, to be fair, but that's another discussion. But even just like, I called mum last week and I was like, look, I'm struggling a bit. I need some help. Like, it's okay to ask for help, and we're all in this together, So finding a support system, having people around you that want to help, even you guys like commenting on the videos, like it all really, it makes a difference. And I think that's why I want to make these videos, because if I'm feeling like this, trying to do this, and I would consider myself a pretty emotionally, it might not sound like it right now, but a pretty emotionally stable person, pretty self-aware, relatively strong, good character. I've done a lot of work in the past to get myself to this point. So if I'm feeling this way, then I'm sure everyone, or there's a lot of people feeling like this too. And I think it's really important to be open and have a discussion like this, that, yeah, growing an agency sounds great, 0 to 10K in 90 days. All that sounds super fun, and like, oh, I want to live that lifestyle, $100,000 a year, amazing. But realistically, it's not that surface level. This building a business, I've realized, is the least surface level thing I've ever done. I just thought that I could be the type of person that builds a business because I'm the type of person that does other hard things, or was a relative moderately good athlete, or I'm someone who likes to share, and I like writing. So it's just another thing that I can add to the list of things that I like to do. But there's these kids and people just getting into this journey with a very superficial view of what it actually means, and it's pretty it's life-changing in the sense that I'm a completely different person now just than I was a few months ago, because I'm trying to do something that is extremely difficult. despite what people will tell you, building a business, no matter how easy the online model is the most difficult personal thing you might ever do if you haven't done anything hard before. And I think if I hadn't done other hard things like in my past life, I don't think I would have survived the last month. And I think that's where most people, that's what happens to 90% of the agencies out there. You know, they start, they can't get any clients, outreach sucks, they buy a course, they lose their money, and then the agency, SMMA is dead, everyone, blah, blah, blah. It's not a dead business model at all, because people will need this for as long as there's the internet, pretty much. It's just evolving, and we need to evolve as people, not just businesses. You need to evolve as an individual to make any sort of meaningful impact in this space. At least that's what I think, because I can't see another way of doing this without me becoming a different evolution of who I am right now. And to be fair to Charlie, he was the catalyst for all of my thinking around this like this. Like we've always enjoyed journaling and being introspective, but the first module within Easy Grow is really eye-opening in terms of it puts labels and words to things that I'd been thinking for a very long time. So I would like to thank Charlie for that. I'd also like to thank Charlie for reaching out to me personally and offering his assistance. But look, if you're thinking about buying the course and you have enough money and you don't think it's going to put you in a level of stress that will like make you quit, well then I think it's probably worth it. I think there's probably a few, well, I can't speak because I don't know about the other courses, but just the community aspect and also the daily calls, honestly, they're worth it alone, rather even over just the module stuff. Because honestly, the module stuff is great, but it takes up so much time. And I sort of think that might be a little bit of a hindrance to some people. It sort of hinders me a little bit as well, because I'm trying to burn through these modules, but I'm also trying to, you know, do outreach, etc., etc. But just the daily calls are really helpful. So yeah, this is where I'm at now. You know, I think I'm getting to that next level of my interpersonal relationship with myself and what it means to be a business owner. And I'm just slowly taking a step emotionally and personally. And then I think hopefully the business will just follow taking steps itself. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video. I hope I didn't ramble too much. So yeah, I'll see you on the next one.